Hi there, and welcome to episode 117 of the ADHD Adults podcast. I'm James Brown, the man who, as Jack once said, blows the doors off when he poos. And as usual, I'm joined by Dr. Alex Connor, who shits himself every time he hears a German police siren, and Mrs ADHD, whose ordure is like Nibbler's, dense and heavy. Alex, hi.
Ordure, James, nice. And just referring to Nibbler as if like a 1990s cartoon is completely accessible to everybody. Very
90s.
I mean,
Sorry?
Was it 90s?
I think it started around the start of the millennium because the first episode was set in the year 2000/3000, wasn't it? So, I mean, it's not a podcast about Futurama yet.
Wish it was.
It'd be much
Alex,
more interesting. Sorry.
Alex, hi.
Hello.
And Sam.
Hiya.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's good. I guess a reminder then that we started the podcast because James just wanted to try out puns for his 1980s Book of Week jokes. People prefer to know about his vampire life these days, so we do an extra Thursday one on a Friday or something. I don't know. And we've got the time for it because Sam's given up explaining all the new people to me. And James doesn't do identity politics because he's not a person.
Not a human one, anyway. Okay, this pound shop bejazzling kit of a podcast is also a tragedy in 3 parts. We'll discuss how the link between podcasts has been, not good, from our ADHD perspective and as people involved in the community. And we'll also answer some questions which have been sent in to us, what you've wanted us to answer. And then we'll finish up with talking a bit more about this week's theme, why we chose it, 2 of us anyway, and how we feel about it. So, as usual, I ask you how your week was, and no one will ask me. Sam, how was your week?
I don't think anyone has asked you ever, have they?
Ever. Never.
But, well, it's, as you know, it's been a bit of a shitty week, to be honest. Somebody emailed in to say that they'd found comfort in the literature on our website, but one document contained some errors that made it look like they were written by a shitty AI, and this made them lose faith in the legitimacy of our literature, and they felt let down by it. And James has written all of the materials for the website and made the entire website for the charity and podcast completely on his own, and has ADHD and dyslexia.
He got paid a lot for that, though, Sam.
Does it all in his own time, outside of his full-time job, voluntarily to help other people. And I think people forget sometimes that we're just like you. We're fucked and we're broken and we struggle with all the same things as you, and we're just doing our best to help people like us. We're not pretending that we're fixed or perfect. We're flawed, just like you. And to take the time to reach out and fucking destroy somebody that's been working so hard to help you, someone that you know has got emotional dysregulation and RSD and all the fucking things, and they emailed on the first Father's Day after losing Robert from Kidderminster. And this is the thing I don't understand about people. If we're not suitable for you because we're not polished, or we swear, or we don't present things in the way that you want us to present them, or we talk over each other, or we go off topic, or behave like idiots and have fun and make stupid jokes that are only funny to us or those listeners that have been here from the start, you don't have to listen and you don't have to engage. There are loads of websites and charities out there for you. You don't have to read the materials that James has written on the website. We can't please every person with ADHD, and that's fine, because this has got to be fun for us, or we can't carry on. I've really gone off topic now. But yeah, James might say that not say that it's affected him, but it has. And because we've been so shit at recording the podcast as well and leaving it till last minute, and he has to produce the podcast on his own and edit it on his own without anybody checking it for him. Occasionally he makes mistakes, and somebody pointed this out, and it pretty much destroyed, because he was already struggling anyway because of Father's Day, and then he got the email, and then somebody pointed out the mistake in the podcast, and he just fell into a pit of despair and been low since then. So it's a bit shit. But I must say, it is important to tell us if there are mistakes, obviously, so that we can put them right, and we appreciate that. But it was just be nice. We're like you. We went to see Reese Nicholson in Birmingham, though, so that was really good.
What does
until
that mean?
He started talking about dads. Reese Nicholson, he's a really good comedian. We love him. Anyway,
I'll Google him.
And I've been back to gardening this week. Well, not really gardening. I've just been picking dandelions with a fork, really, because I've broken the weed thing
already.
Yeah. And Pam keeps running into my office, jumping up on me and like digging her claws into me either side, like almost like a hug. And I just feel like she's so much like me. It's like, I want to show you affection, but I'm not sure how. Oh.
Yeah, and you're so like bony and muscly, your hugs hurt like that.
Really?
No.
How's your week been, James?
Oh, for the love of God. James, just editorial. Can we actually write for Angry Stokey Sam? Because the accent changes. I really like it.
Yeah, it is good when she lets go.
Oh,
not
really?
good. Yeah, I am fully in a mental health crisis, and I'm surprised I've been able to record today. And it's a lot. It's a number of things. The pressure over the last 4 months of everything from the Panorama program to work to financial issue, just to everything, just to being fucking ADHD. I've had more bipolar lows this year than I had all of last year, and more of all the darkness that comes with that. And yeah, the weekend was difficult because obviously my brother's been very ill, and that coincided with Father's Day, and I hadn't really prepared for that or really even thought about it. And then already being in a bad place, already being off work because of that, to in the space of kind of 10 minutes get an email saying that, and then to just have it pointed out correctly that I'd misedited an episode. I just went into an explosively dark place, and I had to knock myself out with sleeping tablets, because sleep is the only place where I don't think those thoughts. It's really difficult. I'm struggling a bit to talk at the minute, so I'll ask Alex how his week has been.
Yeah, same. Really good, thanks. As you well know, James, because I came to see you yesterday, didn't I? Yeah, and what I will say is that you have a plan to come out of it, which isn't as like you, to actually have a sensible and healthy plan, and you're being quite stubborn about your plan. So you might right now not see this, but I think all of this isn't a bad thing, because it's some of the, obviously I'm not going to go into details about some of the professional issues you've been having and personal ones as well, but your plan to deal with them is fucking healthy, which is, it's growth and depth, both of things you struggle with.
Ding.
The
only positive I can say is I'm actually really proud of the fact that I haven't smoked now for about 10 days, and particularly the last couple of days, all I wanted to do was to smoke and do other things, and didn't. And I think that's the only real positive is I feel like I've not broken that habit, but at least not immediately returned to it when I really, really, really wanted to.
It's so impressive. And talking to you about how you've done it, it reminds me of a joint friend who I haven't asked, it's okay to talk about, but almost using ADHD anger to quit something is a really interesting approach. I'm going to do some homework on it and have a look at the papers, whether it's healthy, whether it's okay. But because you know how much I hate the 12 steps approach to giving shit up, if you're not minded that way, I think that you might have come across being sort of really nice, stubborn way to make healthy change. And it'll be interesting to see if it's got longevity. I've got a suspicion it might have. I also got to see my lovely sons, both of you doofuses. I was in England for 2 nights because I had to do a bunch of stuff, and got back at 2:00 today, this morning actually, and then we start at 7:30. So I'm fucking knackered. Yeah, really nice week because I get to see you, and when you're sad, James, that just makes it better. So, apart from genuinely terribly sad things, what stupid thing have you been doing this week that instead of what you were supposed to be doing? Or of course Sam answer to something else. What you bought from Tesco's, I don't fucking know.
In my case, it's been like weirdly hyper focusing on trying to come up with kind of podcast merchandise. Now we've started thinking that maybe we should do that, for example, move to Spotify, etc. And I've actually written down Alex thinks ADHD is a difference, not a disorder, if you remember from a couple of episodes ago. And that's that's definitely something I would like to wear on a t-shirt. So spending far too much time looking at t-shirts and mug presses and designing stuff that's never going to come to anything probably, but obviously it isn't doing useful things.
I'd love people to tell us what they'd like to see from our, because my favorite one, Sam, is ADHD, a trendy bandwagon since 1776. I really like that idea. Want people to tell us what they think would be good.
Oh, we
Yeah,
do
please
get
do.
some all the time, actually.
Oh no, yeah.
Is it
Some all
Planet
the time.
Fat? Yeah, they give me some every week almost, which is really good. Things like pigeons have feelings.
Pigeons have feelings.
Anyway, Sam, what have you been doing this week? Which is ADHD, something in the wrong order sentence. Not make
I
sense.
remembered when we were recording Mondays just before this one, and Alex said something about. Sorry, I forgot to take my meds.
I did yesterday.
And completely forgot, and then remembered and thought I'll go and take them, and then completely forgot again, and then thought I'll write this in my planner because my hormones must be off, and then remembered that I hadn't taken my meds, and that's why I was a complete mess and couldn't do anything at all. It was awful. I've been driving around all week with the broken weed puller in the car, but I keep forgetting to take it because I've got to return it because it's broken, and I keep forgetting. I've lost my house keys. I don't know where they are, like the whole bunch of them. I know.
I mean, maybe tell the other person that lives in that house.
I know.
There's
When
an
we
element
heard a
of risk
sound in
depending on.
Yeah, we heard a smashing last night, and I was like, oh, maybe they found the house keys.
Oh, but you
What
didn't
was
tell
it?
me that. So I went downstairs with a bloody hasp ready to club some. I didn't have
With
a
a
hasp.
bloody
it was
what?
A weapon. Nothing. I went downstairs with something I happened to pick up off the floor. It's an extendable baton. I didn't have that.
And why was it bloody? Had you used it to, like?
I stole it from your murder
Steed.
forest. And basically the fuck me, James, use your brain. The blind that Sam had fitted with Velcro had fallen down again.
We don't have to use ableist language against ourselves, James. It's a sign of self-loathing, which we know you have, but we will forget words always and forever. And people who don't like it can go and listen to Michael McIntyre's podcast.
Oh, and do you remember when the other week when I was talking about the signs that I put up after the event, and then I was like, oh God, I don't think I took them down. I didn't. So yesterday I was on my way over to the place where the signs were directing people to, and they were all just still up. So then I'd got a pair of scissors because I'd prepared myself for this. So I'm running around cutting down, because I was late for my meeting. I'm running around cutting down all these things from these meetings, running back and forth over the road because I kept spotting more. And then I ran in front of a car, and there was a bunch of students like staring at me. And then I went to go down this path and saw it was all blocked off, and I just went, what? And I'm screaming, and these students were just pissing themselves laughing. So I just ran into a nearby building because I was really scared, and then realized I couldn't get anywhere, so I had to come back out, and they were all still laughing, and then I had to run around all these bollards and go in, and it was really awful. And I was supposed to take 4 pens and pads over, but I only took 3, and then the person had to come back over all the way over to my office, all the way up, so that I could give them. And then I said something that was inappropriate to her, and I've been thinking about it since, and I don't know whether to message her and say, I don't want to think about it. Anyway, and I got in, like I said to you guys, I was convinced I had a meeting at 11, so I rushed to get in, and I'm literally running around, and everybody's going, what's wrong with you? And I got into the meeting dead on 11 and thought, why is nobody else here? And it wasn't until 11:30, and then my brain just couldn't cope with the change because that I'd self-imposed. So I was like, what the meeting's not going to happen now. Anyway, how's your week been, Alex?
Oh no, we've done that. That was ages ago.
Oh really, James?
Yeah. No, we did. How's your week been? You told us. You missed that bit out. And then
sorry. What stupid thing have you been doing that you shouldn't? I forgot what question I was answering.
I mean, you've literally never answered. That was amazing. So, yeah, I was thinking about you not taking the meds. I didn't take mine yesterday. And this is an ADHD horror story. This is code switching. People without ADHD, I'm not sure they would get the sheer horror of this. They might do. That without the meds, I had to drive for 6 hours and had to exist in Stansted Airport for a delayed Ryanair flight. I was looking around me like, this can't be happening. I can't have forgotten on today of all days. It was like, when everything slows in the film Blade or something, and every like tick of the clock is.
I'm aware of every vampire film.
Oh, of course, yeah. But like style tips.
Yeah. Accuracy, really.
What do you do instead of mirrors? Do you just both stand opposite each other and say, your hair looks good on the left? that what we do?
Pretty much, yeah.
What about you, James?
You've done me.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay then. Thanks for that, both. We're
Ding,
going to take a break
ding.
and we'll be back in part 2 with questions and thoughts from the ADHD adult UK community.
Alex, hi.
Aight. What's up? Hello, Governor.
Welcome back to episode 117 of the ADHD podcast, one of something Thursday, Friday. As always, we're taking questions from the community, at the ADHD adults, from Discord, Instagrams, TikTok, Twitters. Is there a TikTok? No idea. Are you ready for the first question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's from Gleno, which we've had before. Is there a correlation between James' migraines and him being nice to Alex on the podcast, or even off air for that matter? It's a very good question. I don't think you have been nice to me, have you? How would we know?
No, I was about to say the frequency of my migraines is far more frequent than me ever being nice to you. So
Words.
yeah, absolutely no correlation. Yeah, words, absolutely no correlation because I've had more than one migraine.
But it would make him really stressed if he
Yeah, that is true.
if he was
That
ever
is true.
nice to me, and that would give him a migraine. So it could be.
Mm.
It is. It's a good question, Glenna. Thanks for that. Question 2, Jane DHD, love the name. Does anyone know how / or Alex would say oblique if the hormonal coil affects ADHD and autism? I had my coil fitted early this year and my periods have stopped. I know hormones have a huge impact, but is that still the case with a coil? Either of you two, Alex or Sam? Sam being a woman, Alex knowing about endocrinology.
Yeah, I did have a coil once. That wasn't a good experience for me, but I won't go into that. But I'd imagine, yes. I'd imagine, yes. And in different ways, I think, because I throughout my cycle, if I have one that month, because I'm having less and less, but I have like a withdrawal bleed, so there's different kind of cycle. I won't get into it all, but with the change of hormones, I get like different symptoms and worse symptoms, and so I wonder if it's more stable on the coil because you've got like a steady like release of progesterone, I'm guessing. I don't know. And some people I know progesterone can really affect them when they're taking it for HRT. It used to when I first started taking it, but now it's kind of calmed down. So I wonder what effect that has.
James,
Alex?
what the fuck's going on?
What would mean Sam giving decent answers?
Like endocrinologically accurate answers is ruining everything.
I know it's
well,
isn't it?
well, if we're doing that, then I don't know. I've never had ADHD. I don't think I've had a period ever. I have every day. Fuck knows. That was amazing. Yeah. And it's so important to remember that the hormones of ADHD and of humans are like the chords of a piano. They don't affect us all the same, and they don't, our responses to them aren't the same from one day to another. So it's really, really, and you can look at statistical averages and say, yeah, on average, it might be something that could, on average, reduce symptoms, but it certainly wouldn't be in a double-blind trial something that they would recommend as a way to reduce ADHD symptoms. Yeah, I haven't got anything to add, James, for you. That's annoying.
No, she's nailed that. She really has. It
Well,
is
right.
annoying.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So I've got a question. ADHD Adam says, question for the podcast equals. Firstly, thanks for the help and laughs you've given me via your podcast.
Oh,
When I
we needed that, Adam.
When I first started my journey of discovery in ADHD, I'm currently undiagnosed, but I'm very much part of the tribe. You are.
Brilliant.
I read a book called ADHD 2.0, which was very eye-opening. One of the chapters talked about ADHD versus VAST. I would really love to hear the ADHD Adults podcast take on VAST, variable attention stimulus trait. I love your
Sam,
podcast.
Sorry. James, a book's like a cartoon, but you have to, instead of hearing it, you have to read the words.
I love your
the
podcast, by the
words.
way. I hope you carry it on long term. I really learn and identify with so much with every episode. Thanks to Jim Bob and Al, and also the Queen of Chaos. I'm happy for you to say, use my name if you do talk or mention my question. Cheers all, Adam. James.
We can say stroke or use his name?
Ding.
I choose to stroke it. I don't know what this is. Does anybody else? I'm going to
James,
Google it.
Try, James.
Yeah, so I kind of looked it up beforehand.
I don't know
think
what it is.
If effectively, variable attention stimulus trait describes kind of all people with ADHD traits, even if they don't meet the full criteria for a diagnosis. So it's very timely, given the fact that this week's topic was subthreshold ADHD. It's not really a kind of fully medically accepted, diagnosis or thing. There are societies and groups out there for people who are kind of identify as being VAST. There are some paradoxical traits between VAST and ADHD. So it's a really interesting area that I think we probably need to ourselves learn more about. But in terms of the actual question of which I've obviously forgotten, which is ADHD versus VAST, it's certainly possible that if VAST is a thing and therefore it's encapsulating people that have the traits of ADHD, whether they are diagnosed, whether they are subthreshold, whether they just have some traits, it certainly is I like the idea of actually collecting in a non-othering way together people that have the traits, because there are lots of people who don't get a diagnosis, don't want a diagnosis, but clearly do have the traits, and I think that's a powerful thing.
Fab. Anything to add on?
No, not at all. I'm going to Google it afterwards. And
Okay,
it's good
thanks
to
for
not
that,
know
both.
shit.
We're going to take a break and we'll come back in part 3 with thoughts on this week's podcast.
Amazing. Trumpet.
Welcome back to episode 117 of the ADHD Adults podcast. This is part 3, where we'll be talking about something to do with, does mild ADHD exist? James, what made you choose the last idea for a theme?
Flawless, as always, Gabby Logan.
That was amazing, Gabby. Because it fascinates me. When I first heard about it, I think it was because we were writing an article for Focus Mag. Remember that, Al? And
oh, meow. Because I haven't done any writing because I'm struggling a little bit with my mental health.
No, he has.
So I've let the side down.
But technically, you have been co-authoring articles which have gone on there over the last few months. So you haven't let the side down at all. It fascinates me. I think it fascinates me because of it's not fully arbitrary. There is some evidence behind the threshold, but the fact that it's a hard ding number. It's a hard number for a soft experience, if you know what I mean. Is that actually the way in which we experience it isn't. It just ADHD isn't binary. And therefore having this hard edge, this cliff edge, which you have to kind of have fallen over to get a diagnosis, seems, as is so much with ADHD, to be just fed by inequality and bias and unfairness. And I think actually if we had a more nuanced and less binary approach to ADHD and its various flavors, it would just help so many people. Al?
Yeah, I mean, we've been meaning to do it for ages, haven't we? And the tech guy says there's a list somewhere of podcast titles, but I've never seen it. I don't know where it was. But in general, I felt excluded my whole life. I know you two have too, in society, in life, in school, in work. And
yeah, but not because of my ADHD.
The two are unrelated in your case. We don't exclude people who are sub-threshold ADHD, whether it's literal or if you're struggling and we can help, you're part of our family team. That's it. That's why. Sam, why did you choose this?
I have no editorial rights in this podcast. I didn't choose the theme or contribute to it in any way.
Do you think there are people with ADHD whose eyes twitch when asked because they know they've got to listen to 2 seconds of you saying something they know what you're going to say? It'll make you feel sick.
Although, to be fair, for the last few weeks, I've completely forgotten what it was. So there was a
and I bet you loads of
there.
people have gone, oh, thank God it's different. I bet they have. I bet there's people that fast forward 10 seconds at that exact point. Oh, no, I can't have something I know.
No, we've got people that fast forward past the first 6 to 7 minutes. Yeah. Someone recently told us. Luckily, I can scrub past the first 6 or 7 minutes to get to the good bits.
Yeah.
Was there any thought or tip from the theme that you forgot to say, Alex?
There was actually.
Go on.
And it's this thing of ADHD traits. and they are positive. ADHD traits are a positive in society. Every human being has them. And loads of the papers who say ADHD is a superpower, which I think it is, James, as you well know, no, who say that ADHD is healthy, have made a mistake, fundamental mistake, that ADHD traits can be an advantage in society. They are an advantage. We all need to be a bit impulsive sometimes. We all need to be a bit, when they're extremely, like all resonant in your whole life, they are a fucking nightmare. And so I think there must be a bell-shaped curve where if you've got none of them, it's awful. Are you thinking where the bell-shaped curve is a ding?
I was just thinking bell end. Obviously, it's a very, very poor tangent.
Bell end shaped curve.
I'm in a bad place, Alex. Give me some fake laughs.
I think there's a bell end shaped curve where no ADHD traits obviously are bad. The other extreme, being ADHD, is bad, and then there must be a point at where it's good. And so if you're sub-threshold, you're right on that like downward roller coaster where you can't. It's not always bad, but and it's going to affect you. So just look at our website and get some help. I know that was in the Monday episode. That's all I'll say. What about you, Jim Jim?
I quite like being called Jim Bob again. I used to be Bob, which obviously was Robert from Kidderminster's name. Yeah. I quite like that. Yeah. I mean, sadly, in some cases, it's a case of keep on pushing. And I know that's an awful thing to say. If you genuinely think you need help, yeah. But remember, the diagnosis really gives you, actual diagnosis gives you two things. If you want it, access to medication and some support at work. As Mrs ADHD said, you can get some support at work through access to work without a diagnosis, and all the other stuff in terms of self-acceptance, emotional acceptance, blah, 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 working out ways in which you can support yourself with coping mechanisms, self-coaching if you can't afford coaching, all those things you can still do if you don't have a diagnosis. There are lots of people that don't seek a diagnosis. Sadly, I think in some ways, often because of their age. At some of the talks, I sometimes do talks.
I'm too old for it.
Yeah, so I've said that. Well, there's no point for me. I'm 67, and obviously, if you don't want to have a diagnosis, that's fine. But we always say it's never too late. If you think
it never is. You were old. You were 208, weren't you?
I was actually 314, as you well know. But therefore, there are things that can help you that you don't need a diagnosis for. So if you want to develop coping mechanisms, again, on our website and lots of other good websites out there is advice on things you can do, technology that can help, ways in which you can self-coach, ways in which you can work on your relationships, talks that you can go to, videos that you can watch, which can help you kind of build a more structured and happy or fulfilling life if for some reason you do fall into that category where you won't get a diagnosis. Sam?
Yeah, I suppose just carrying on with what I said, don't let some arbitrary scoring system make you feel less than. You're still valid, and if you're struggling with it, that is the main thing. If you're struggling with ADHD symptoms, you have ADHD as far as we're concerned, and you deserve the help that everybody else gets. And yeah, you won't be able to get medication, but you can get access to work and you can get help through us. So,
and universities are getting good, aren't they now? And schools that just, not really requiring that kind of thing, working with you to get a bit of help.
Yes.
Depends on the uni.
Obs.
Right, that was lovely. I had to, when you were really bearing your soul, James, I had to stop myself from shushing you, which I think is personal
totally
growth.
Should have.
I would really regret it massively.
You know, hashtag never too far, Alex. And actually, I think that would have been lovely if you'd have shushed me.
I was so excited about saying really great thanks the same, though. I was really looking forward to saying it. I enjoyed it very much, so I went with that instead. That was episode 117 of the ADHD Adults, and it was one of the first ever Friday extra editions. It used to be on a Thursday when we don't do Monday ones. I don't know what's happening. To the one on Monday, does mild ADHD exist? If you like this nonsense and want to get involved, contact us at the ADHD Adults on Discords, at Gabby Logan. No, that's wrong. Social accounts such as Instagram, TikTok, Twitters, MySpace. Just ask ChatGPT to send us a question. I don't know what that is. Have a lovely weekend. Goodbyes.
Bye.
See you soon.
Trigger warning, klaxon, 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 big klaxon. Trigger warning, klaxon. crack on, cracks.